Michael Hamilton with the Maine Real Estate Network and the Fletcher Group. Today, I want to talk about, can you really afford that home? So you decided you want to buy a home. Awesome. The first thing that usually happens is you get pre-qualified or pre-approved for a loan, right? And they give you this nice round number. Maybe it's a $300,000 home. You can afford a $300,000 home, and you get all excited and you go out and you start looking for homes, $300,000 homes. And what we often forget is that $300,000 involves the mortgage, the interest, the principal, and the insurance, which are only part of the cost of actually owning a home. So I want to tell you about is a story of one of the hardest decisions I ever made, which was to not buy a 200-year-old farmhouse. My wife and I were pre-approved. We were looking for a house, and we found this house. It was gorgeous, 200 years old, beautiful yard, amazing 4-story barn, way under our budget. And I thought, I can get this home, right? And then all my friends, my family said, no, do not get a 200-year-old farmhouse. And I said, why? I can do a couple repairs. We're okay living in something that's not perfect right now. But I did my due diligence. I got an inspector in there. I got a contractor in there. And it turns out that to actually move into that home, do the repairs required, was a $200,000 job, which was not something I was financially looking for at the moment, so we didn't get the house. But what I want to tell you about is what I like to call RUF, which stands for Repairs, Utilities, and Fees, the hidden costs of homeownership. Let's talk about repairs. So I'm going to give you 5 things to look for in a house you're thinking about buying. This is definitely not everything, but this is a short list of things to start with. The roof. Every roof has a lifetime, and you can find out where in that lifetime your house of interest is, because roofs are expensive to repair, and you need to make sure you have budgeted for that or have the money set aside for the repair if needed. The next thing is the furnace. Has the furnace in this house been maintained well? Can you see the maintenance schedule? How old is it? How efficient is it? If you think that furnace is going to need to be repaired or replaced soon, you should budget for that. Exterior paint on the house. Does the paint look like it's chipping? Does the paint look like it's going to need to be replaced in the next 5 years? Are you going to be able to budget for that in time? Septic system. Can you look at the records and find out how many times they've emptied out that tank? How big is the septic system? Is it what you want for the house? And if not, are you going to have to repair it or expand it? And what is that going to cost you? And then the last one is windows. Windows not only need repair because of visual reasons and operational reasons, but also because of efficiency. They can end up costing you a lot in the long term. So if you're looking at a house that might be in need of updated windows, factor that in to your costs. Utilities and property costs. This one hit me really hard when I moved from California to Maine. In California, we don't really worry about our high oil costs or propane. You don't really ever have to use the heat, but we have sometimes as high as $500 a month in electricity costs for using the air all the way through the summer. So it's a totally different thing to think about. You also have to pay for water there. A lot of people are on wells in Maine. So when you are moving to a new house, or maybe you're moving to your first house out of an apartment, make sure that you're looking at that specific property's cost. Are you going to have to mow a huge lawn? How much is that going to cost? Are you going to have to pay for pest control because you're in a bunch of woods? How much is that going to cost? Are you going to want to get a maid or a house cleaner? And how much is that going to cost in this size house as opposed to maybe where you're coming from? All of these things should be in your household budget, and you shouldn't overlook them just because you love the house. Fees. This is the one that I find people like to ignore the most. They find the monthly cost of a house, and then they want to overlook that there are monthly or biannual or annual expenses in addition to that they have to pay. It might be a road maintenance fee, it might be an HOA fee, it might be a special assessment. If you're moving into a condo, you have to look at the history. How many times have they done special assessments? With my first condo, my wife and I moved in, our HOA fees were under $250. When we moved out 2 years later, they were $330. They upped them the maximum amount every single year. On top of that, they give us a $3,000 assessment, and they had another $6,000 assessment coming up for piping. I could have looked back and realized that a lot of people in this particular association did not pay their fees, and things were in disrepair. So you need to look at the property you're looking at, whether it's single family, apartment, condominium. Does it have any fees associated with it, and are you going to want to be paying those fees?